All right. Welcome to the Zoom tonight. I just wanted to talk to you guys about Dallas. I went on the first annual men's Beachbody event. It wasn't put on by Beachbody. It wasn't anything to do with corporate. This is just a couple guys that said that, hey, we should do this because there's a big calling for men to rise above the women. We're not saying that the women are better than us, but we just want to be in that spot where we can compete with them.
The competition?
Yeah, we're guys, right? Everything is a competition to us. Speaking of, that kind of leads into my first thing. The very first speaker we had was Tommy Migrant. And if you've never talked to Tommy, you wouldn't know his story. He is a football coach, and he does it for free, and he's been doing it for like 25 years or something. He's very successful in the business. Stephanie and I had a chance to chat with him before the event, so I kind of got to know him before. And so he opened it up, and he related it all to sports. So that's what really hard to me. He said team building is like a sports team, all right? You have to make – the goal is to make your team as good as possible, you know. Yes, you will have some people that aren't as good as possible, but your goal is to build them up and give them encouragement so that they are. Another point that hit really, really hard, I didn't even think about this, is that most teams when they start, they don't know what kind of offense they want to run. So they'll do this offense and they kind of get it, and then the next week they do another offense and they kind of get it, and the next week they do a different offense. So they can't ever really get good at one thing. So the best advice for that is to pick something, go with it, and own it. You know, I've been struggling with that forever. I've been jumping around to all sorts of different ways, and you know, I just haven't found my niche yet. But when you find something that works, even if it's just a little bit, you have a little success, really keep going with that. Don't just change. Don't change what's working. You know, multiple offenses will just kill you. He said that he would watch like football tapes, and the team that would change offenses all the time, they always had a losing season every single time. So I was going to take his advice because he's a good football coach. But the last topic for this one is there's always a need to fill for people. They're always looking for something. So you just need to find the person's need and fill it. Listen to them. You know, their time is important. Yours is important too, but it's important to listen to them and really understand what they do. So he had a lot of cool stuff, and he went through it really fast. Like I said, it was the keynote. We're guys, so we started like a half hour, 40 minutes late from the event. So it was cool. The next speaker that came up, he hit really, really hard too. It was Josh Spencer. Came up, and he was actually the last speaker. There was some in between there, and I didn't really want to get into it because some of it didn't make sense with what I want to talk about tonight. Yeah, Josh Spencer was a top coach in 2010. Before that, he was dealing with a bunch of debt. He had a lot of family issues that he was going through. He didn't even tell us what they were. He couldn't talk about them. But he knew that he needed to do something. So he basically just told his wife, he's like, if you give me 1 year, I will give you a lifetime of freedom. And if you know who Josh is, if you don't, I would add him on Facebook. He's a good mentor to have, for me anyway, because he's a good role model. But so he worked his ass off that year. His wife had to sacrifice everything. She took care of the kids. You know, she was the sole provider. And all Josh did is just work, work, and work. He hit top coach that year. He blew everybody out of the water. That was, I don't know if back then when they had the top 10 elite coaches, most of them were guys. It's all women now. So like the first, couple years when they started doing the top 10, it was mainly guys that were excelling in the business. It's totally flip-flopped since then. So I don't know what's going on. So that's why we did this event, try to flip it back and kind of bring the male presence back in it. But so he did that 1 year of hardcore work. And then he stopped and he goes, and before that, I wanted to do this for my family. I had to figure out a why. But he just didn't want to work hard for 1 year. He goes, I need to figure out a vision plan for 5 years. think about long-term instead of short-term. Yes, we can sell a challenge pack now and make $30 in commission in it. Well, what about in 5 years? Where's that commission got to go? This should be a long-term thing. So everything you do should be about the future. It is a business. Treat it like a business. Think about, most people do that when they start a business. They don't just start it and they're got to go, oh, great, we'll do this for a year and see what happens. This is their livelihood. This is how they run it. So to go along with that, 5 years, 5-year business plan. What is it going to take to get there? You need to have leaders. I mean, that's the main thing, is trying to find people that can lead it for you, help you run the business. Because if we just have a team full of followers, it's not a very good team. You're going to end up working your ass off, and then all these people will just keep coming at you. So it was a cool thing. You just need to put all your time into building those leaders. Next thing we want to go into, you got it? Was a championship work ethic. This is where that hustle video comes into play. If you watch that video, it was crazy. They turned off all the lights and they played that video, and it just hit us really hard. Josh hadn't even watched the video. They kept telling him to watch it for 3 days, and he comes out and he's like, damn, that was a good video. So it got us all pumped up. But championship work ethic. What are some things that you need to do? It's got to be a hell of a lot of sacrifices. Stephanie and I have to make sacrifices a lot. Just at first. It gets easier, but that doesn't mean you can't, you need to slack. It just changes. And I'm going to get to that in the next point. So, that first year when Josh was a coach and he was trying to get to the top coach position, he had to make lots of sacrifices. He didn't spend as much time with his kids. He didn't spend much time with his wife. But the difference between just doing it was he talked to his family first. He told them, hey, I have this goal. I have this dream. Will you help me and do it? And that's very important. Stephanie and I do that constantly. She's always telling me her goals, and we tell our kids these goals so they know about it. If we're trying to hit a next rank advancement, we let them know, and it excites them too, because they're like, Dad, are you 1-star yet? Dad, are you 1-star? How many more coaches do you need? They know about the business, and so it's more of a family thing. So you're not just sitting there slaving away, and they know what you're doing. That seems to help out a lot, and it is a business. It's a family business, and if they know why you're doing it, it'll hit them hard. There's got to be lots of times when you fail, though. It's normal. I mean, the most important thing, though, is that you can learn from it. How many times we ran a challenge group and there's like one person in there and they don't post at all. Even when you tag them and call them out, they don't post. Or we all make a post on Facebook and it gets like 2 likes, and you spent like a lot of time and effort creating with this awesome thing. Feels like crap, right? But you learn from it. You can kind of tweak it next time. People still see it. So, I mean, you just got to take the good with the bad. This is something I've always struggled with, and I still constantly struggling with, is finding your market. So everybody has a niche. Everybody has a different way that they want to coach. Me, I'm kind of more into like fitness first type thing. Like I look for people that want to be involved in health and fitness industry rather than coach people. It's just how I run the business. Some people run it business first. So, hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna have shake and shares, and we're gonna make flyers and all that kind of stuff. There's totally different ways. Goes along with the fitness too, getting people invited. Like we're running this man cave group, and it's getting crazy. There's our theme for it is it's a complete man cave. Talk about cars, talk about beer, talk about burpees, supplements, all that kind of stuff. So it's a place that we can hang out and feel safe in. And if I started posting some of this stuff in our normal challenge groups, I'd probably get kicked out and banned by Stephanie. But you just got to find your market and what works for you, because those people are the people that are drawn to you, So I want to end with a couple leadership skills. So the way that your team can grow the most is being a great leader for them, giving them the tools. Doesn't matter if you only have 2 people on your team, 1 person on your team, you're still a team leader, all right? So you need to give them skills and equip them with what you need. I've always focused, when I do personal development, I was always like, oh, I need to work on my weaknesses. And, same with like your exercise. They always tell you to work on your weaknesses. Personal development, you should not be working on your weaknesses. You need to develop your strengths. Your strengths is what's going to drive people to you. So if you suck at inviting, work at inviting. Work at it, because that's the most important part. You got to be strong at it. And if you're always working on all the other crap, it's totally not going to work out. So focus on your strengths. Plus, you'll enjoy it more. Nobody likes to work on parts that they don't like. I hate working shoulders because it's like my weakest point in my body. But I still do it every now and then. I don't know. It's crazy. So work on your strengths. If you need some good recommendations for personal development, comment in the thread, and we can throw out a bunch of good things. I got a bunch of good ones this weekend that we can go over, videos, books, and stuff. The other thing about being a good team leader is, and Stephanie, this is new for us. It's called the 80-20 rule. So we've heard the 80-20 rule with your food. 80% of the time you're supposed to be good, and 20% is clean or not so good. That's supposed to be the balance. And if you think about that, 365, that's a lot of days of cheat meals. That sounds good to me. But think about it on a team level. So if you put 80% of your time into your top leaders in your team and 20% into the rest of them, you're gonna push those strengths and those goals and your top team leaders, and that'll just drive everybody up. But you're saying, well, what about the people that are down below? They'll see these people that are up at the top succeeding, and they just follow. They just think it's normal. All right. So, and that was always the wrong mindset. We were like, oh, we got to help, the people at the bottom. But if you put your other leaders there, then you have a whole team of leaders, and they have no choice but to follow. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of backwards thinking. It's real direct and kind of intimidating, but this event was really in your face. It opened my eyes a lot. So, you need to connect with, listen, and support those team leaders. Whatever it is that they're going through, you see these top coaches living these cool lives, and they have money, they have lots of friends, they have the freedom to do whatever they want. But you know what they spend all their time doing? Developing leaders. That's all they spend their time for, is leadership. I talked to Josh, and for me to get and with a call with him, I got to wait 2 weeks because he's that busy. So it's crazy. The next step is the leadership is equipping your team with all the appropriate stuff. Stephanie's killer at this. She shares everything. If you look in our files tab, it's ridiculous. So you're not having to recreate the wheel for your team. Everything's already been done. Where do you think we got most of that stuff from? We just didn't pull it out of thin air. We took it from somebody else, manipulated it to how we wanted it for our team. All right? And that's what everybody else should do. There's no sense in reworking it all, putting so much brain into it. I mean, it's just normal stuff. Yeah, it's a waste of time. So I want you to write this down, because this is important. Stephanie's really, really good at this, and we're usually talking about it a lot, but I've never seen it laid out like this. So this is about developing your team leaders and how to talk to a new business person if you're trying to bring them on board. So the first step is you're going to do it, right? So you're going to reach out to somebody and they're interested in the product or the business, all right? The second one will be I do it and you're with me. So yeah, I'm going to do it and Stephanie is going to be here with me, teaching me, all right? And we're going to do it together. The third one is you do it and I'm with you. So then you guys just flip-flop roles. So nobody should ever be doing this alone. You should always have a leader with you. If you need somebody, ask me, ask Stephanie, ask whoever, all right? It doesn't matter. Ask Sandy. She's got a soft voice that's pleasantly surprising. So I don't know. So the fourth one is you do it, all right? So it's all on you now. You got it. You know what you're doing. Go out there once, and then you'll realize that you need somebody with you. So you do it, and you bring somebody else with you. That's your next person in line down below, you know? So it just keeps going around in circles, all right? It's a system. And we should all have these systems. Duplication. I think we think too much about this, and I stress out about it all the time. Am I going to say the wrong word? Is my comma in the right place? Is my spelling correct? Like, just be you, all right? The last thing we got to end with, and this is really crazy. Have you guys ever heard of Bo Eason? He used to play. He was a safety for the Houston Oilers back in late 70s, early 80s, something like that. He was killer. He would just kick the crap out of people. And he came and spoke to us, and his whole spiel is about becoming and being able to share your story and make it super relatable. But one of the things he said was that if somebody ever tells you you're not the best, you have to think about it the very first time when you were alive. Actually, before that, when you were conceived, all right? This is going to get really weird because you did this in a room full of men. He's like, when you were conceived, out of the 300 million sperm, all right, one, you, out of all your brothers and sisters, you made it there, all right? So who does that make you? Are you the best now or what? And everybody's like, yeah! Like it was crazy because it hit really hard because we're a bunch of guys and he was talking about sperm. But you think that's funny, huh? It is funny. But doesn't it make sense? So I wrote that down in my book, and I took like a whole page just to write that one thing. And I wrote the best sperm, and I know exactly what that means from now. So when somebody tells me that I'm not being very good at something, or if somebody tells you that, just mention that story, and they'll laugh at you, but it'll sink in and it makes sense, just like you guys just did to me. So I'm going to stop the recording. I know that was really fast, but I talk fast. So.